Hi, everybody. Gosh, another great day here in Washington, D.C. And today I'm here with Neal Donovan, who's the Executive Director for the coalition, the National Coalition for the Homeless.
That's right. Yeah.
I got it right. Explain what you guys do.
Sure. We're a national advocacy organization, but as you can tell from being in Washington, D.C., there's no short supply of those, especially here. What we do is we separate ourselves kind of from the herd by facilitating having homeless people speak for themselves. So one of the programs, our largest program, is the Speakers Bureau. So we speak to tens of thousands of students up to CEOs, and we provide the physical ability of homeless people to get out into the field, as well as also some training in how to speak and how to kind of focus your thoughts, and then to record the experience that you've had, and then to be a stakeholder for the larger homeless community and kind of reporting back to your fellow shelter residents about what's going on, what people are saying in the field.
And that's so awesome, because really that's what InvisiblePeople.tv does, is empower homeless people to tell their own story.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, since the beginning I've really believed, and you know, we don't need another homeless expert up there talking about homelessness, and there's lots of them, and some of them are friends of mine. We need to empower the people that are in poverty themselves to tell their own story, because that's where we're going to see the real change. How long has this organization been around, and tell me a little bit about the background.
Sure. So the National Coalition for the Homeless started in 1982, and it came out of a court case in New York where a group of homeless individuals sued the city of New York for a right to shelter.
Really?
And they
I'm
won
glad
that
I
right.
asked this question.
Yeah, it's a very cool beginning. And they won the right to shelter, and then there was a collective belief that we should take this nationally. And so in 1982, a group of advocates gathered together, many of whom were homeless, and said, let's spread the word, let's get active at the grassroots level, and that's what they did, and we've been doing it ever since.
Wow. So this was started by homeless people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Way cool. And so nice segue. Grassroots. Why is that important? I mean, we were talking about that earlier, but let's share some of the stuff we were talking about.
Sure. Well, as you and I were talking about earlier, the history of homelessness kind of ebbs and flows, and it has evolved in these kind of 50-year cycles. And a lot of times it starts at the grassroots level, and then the grassroots movement finds that it has a hard time kind of keeping itself funded and afloat. So a lot of times they take their authority and they kind of like hand it up to a lot of times people at the federal level. And with that, the authority passes forward, and their influence passes on as well. And so and that's what we've found now over the last 40 years, where that mantle, where the authority, where a lot of the power and the influence has kind of gone to the federal level and left the people at the grassroots kind of just basically being a herded mass that are being told by people in Washington kind of what to do and how to think and how to react.
Go figure.
Right. So I think what's important about what you're doing and other advocates at the local level is that you're getting back to the grassroots. And I think that this is the pendulum swinging back again, and that we are getting at the local people and telling them that once again, you are in charge, you are the people who are going to end homelessness. And I think we're finding, you know, unfortunately because of repetitive failures, that we need to get back to the grassroots, and that is fact where we're going to solve and end homelessness.
Man, you're giving me such great segues. It's almost like we wrote a script and we didn't. You said repetitive failures. No, let's not just talk about failures, but from the coalition's point of view, what's happening in homelessness today? Maybe you can talk about what worked or didn't work in the past, or wherever you want to, what's going on.
Sure. In the past, there was a so starting in late 1970s, early 80s, there was an understanding that we had to kind of see homelessness as a large monolith, which was not the way to try to solve the problem. However, the way we proceeded from there was to start to divide the overall homeless population into subpopulations, and then we started to break people up into kind of what their illnesses were, what their problems were, and that wasn't the approach to take either. And I think we've continued on that path for quite a long time, and I think that is a path that will not ultimately lead to where we want to go, which is the ending of homelessness. So we need to regroup. We need to come back to the point where we don't see homelessness as a monolith, but we do see it as a group that we have to recognize as all kind of deserving and all being on a level playing field. So there's no hierarchy of deserving, less deserving, and undeserving. There are no people who are, more eligible for housing before another. We need to consider everyone who's homeless to be as important and as eligible and as necessary for homeless as the next person.
Let's do, okay, Washington's this big, I think, to me, I think as I look at Washington, and I've always tried to stay out of politics, I look at Washington as probably harder to change than homelessness, So where I'm going with this is you're out there watching, or somebody's out there watching, and they feel passionate about what they see in their community as far as homeless people, and they want change. I mean, does writing their senator actually do anything? Does it, calling you guys, that type thing. What
Sure.
can somebody do that, is an individual action that actually helps
Sure.
the cause?
Sure. Well, as a person who does a lot of work both on the Hill and at the executive level, I can tell you that I have been sitting in a lot of lobbies where I have an appointment and a constituent comes in and they walk right past me, and without an appointment they get to see the senator or the staffer before me. So the answer is, if you are a voter, if you are a constituent, seeing your elected representative works. You're going to be seen before the lobbyist, before the nonprofit advocate that's sitting in the office. So you really are recognized. The important thing is why it's important to call an organization like ours, and we're certainly not the only one, but I think it's important to look at organizations, see which one that you are most kind of aligned with, and then talk to them about how to communicate, because you really do have a finite amount of time, and it's really important to get down maybe 3 to 5 bullet points, really kind of focus what you want to say. So this is basically how to talk to your elected official 101. But I think it's really important to figure out what you want. Right. What you've got to be heard, and you've got to communicate. And I think what we're trying to say is grassroots is the way to go. And how do you communicate that with your elected official so that they can actually do something about it?
And it's not just elected officials. It's even the guy traveling across the country screaming about homelessness. I mean, today everybody's busy. And I love you all. Please, I love you all. But I get mini novels. And I can't, some days, last week, one day I got 2,000 emails. I cannot possibly sit and read everything. So, like, brevity, please.
Yeah.
Bullet points, I do. I mean, and I think that goes, if I'm that busy, somebody up on the Hill, is even worse.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're, you know, crazy, you know. So you're happy. You must think that we can do this.
Do I think that we can end homelessness? I think that we can be about the work of ending the homelessness of a large majority of Americans, and I think we can pick up the pace by involving homeless people in their own solution. So the answer is yes. Do I think that we're going to be able to solve the homelessness of everyone? No, but I don't think that's truly the reasonable goal of any individual. But we have to start by building affordable housing, by a universal living wage for people, by considering healthcare a housing issue. Just collectively all agreeing on the fundamentals of moving beyond homelessness.
Wow, great. Earlier, and I probably will tweet this by the end of the day, he just gave me my favorite tweet that's probably going to come out today is like, when in doubt, choose reality. You know, I mean, that's just so awesome. So we need to be real about this social crisis that's in front of us. And part of being real is that we are, exactly what he said, is that we're not going to completely end it, but we can do a very serious dent. And we can really, and that's by working together with all organizations, even the people you don't necessarily agree with. You still need to partner because it's too big for any one of us. So how do people support you? What's your website, and how do they get a speaker if they're interested in having somebody speak?
Sure.
As you have them around the country.
Sure. The way that people can get in touch with us is by going to nationalhomeless.org. That's our website, or NCH. The way that you can support us, and we've learned this through having interns. The worst thing that you can do is have an intern and not give them direction. So the worst thing is to have a national advocacy organization without direction. We don't want to be sitting here without hearing from you, giving us direction on how we should conduct our work. So we really need to hear from you and to say the work that you're doing, the work on hate crimes, the work on foreclosure, the work on hypothermia is important, but have you thought about this issue? Or what about kind of restructuring the way you're prioritizing things to put something else first? We listen to you. We get our strategic plan from your minds and your voices.
Wow.
So please, that's how you can contribute best to the National Coalition for the Homeless. And then in addition to that, as is the case with many of us, it costs to leave the doors open, and so donate. And we don't take money from many federal organizations or governmental organizations. We are very pleased at the fact that our average donor is about $10. So please, we love to have small donors as well as large.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This has been a wonderful afternoon, morning. So
same here.
Well, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.